Hello and welcome back to a new video. Today I'm going to be making a Ponyo Lightbox. I love Studio Ghibli. I grew up with all the movies. I have a deep love for them. I honestly think they're my favorite movies in the whole world, honestly. They're super pretty. I just really love them. And I always loved the world of Ponyo, like the whole underwater aspect of it, like living underwater and when it flooded above ground and then there were like the trees underwater and everything. I thought that was so cool. So I really wanted to do a Ponyo Lightbox, and I decided to do the scene where Ponyo's dad, I forgot his name, but Ponyo's dad is in the underwater ship feeding the fish out of that bubble. So yeah. These first couple layers that I'm working on right now, they are just some layers of some jellyfish because there's like a whole stream of jellyfish floating by the ship. For the jellyfish, I basically just drew like little bubbles and I drew like little teardrop shaped designs on them to add some more details, and I did I think 2 or 3 layers. And now I move on to drawing the actual boat, and first I just draw out a rough shape of it just so I can see how it will look and where it will go and everything, what size it'll be. And then after, I decided to make this into 2 separate layers, like a background and a foreground layer. Like the cabin part and then the 2 back flippers will be in a layer behind, and then the front of the boat with the bubble and the guy and the front flippers will be in a layer in front. And once I had the boat cut out, I move on to another layer of jellyfish that will go in front of the boat. For this, I wanted you to be able to see the boat kind of through the jellyfish, so I left out some parts, like some open spaces within the jellyfish so you could see the flippers and stuff through. I was a little bit worried at first that it wasn't gonna look good, but in the end I think it turned out pretty nice. And I just cut out all the details on the jellyfish, and this layer was actually a little bit tricky to cut out. I actually ended up ripping it by accident down the middle because it was very flimsy, but in the end I just taped that together. No one notices, but it was a little bit tricky. And up next, I decide that this needs some fish because there's not just jellyfish in this scene, there's quite a few just fishies swimming around. So I went and I did a layer of fishies. Now these fishies were pretty simple. I don't know what it is about fish, but they're just so easy. Like, I just drew an oval, triangle, little thing here and there, and they all look like different kinds of fish. So I thought that was pretty cool that it was so easy. But cutting them out was not the most fun, if I'm being honest. I didn't enjoy it that much. And I ended up doing 2 or 3 layers of fish, and as you can see here, I was trying to stab eye holes with a pin, and I realized that this wasn't going to work well. So for the rest of the fish, I did this before I cut them out, and that worked pretty well. But yeah, I'm just cutting out more fish because I really wanted this to look like there were a lot of sea creatures gathering around. So yeah, I just did some more fish. And here's how it was looking, and I thought it was looking pretty good, so I decided to move on to the guy and the bubble. Now, this guy, he's pretty small on this paper. He's like half the size of my thumbnail, so he was pretty tiny, and I drew him out, and I think he looked pretty good. He looked recognizable, that's who he was supposed to be, Ponyo's dad. But when I cut him out, I feel like he lost a lot of that. He ended up not looking very human-like at all. But I think once I assembled everything, he looked fine, but just as he was alone, he did not look too great. But yeah, I just finished cutting him out, and then I glued him onto the back layer of the boat, and then later I ended up moving him up to the front layer of the boat to be right behind the bubble. And as for the bubble, I made that out of parchment paper. I just traced a circle and I cut it out, and that was going to be my bubble. But I decided that this bubble needed some fish on it, so I drew out some fish that are on the side of the bubble, so they're you see the tops of the fish, not the side of the fish. And I had decided to add some jellyfish there too, just to tie them in a bit. And I stabbed the eye holes before I cut them out, so I took what I learned from earlier, and once I cut everything out, I just glued them onto the bubble. I kind of wish I would have done more now that I look back at it. I could have added a couple more fish and stuff, but oh well. And then I just do another layer of some jellyfish, and I also glue some random fish here and there just to add more details, and it's time to assemble. Since this light box doesn't have too many layers, it has like 7, I really needed there to be a lot of space between each layer just to add that depth. So instead of just one thing of foam board, I did 2 little strips, so it just added that depth that I needed, and it is done, and it looks really good. I'm really happy. I think it looks really good. Like, it's definitely a lot more like open and spacious, and I really like that. And I really think that like light teal color is really pretty with it. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed, and yeah, let me know in the comments what other videos you would like to see, because I love recommendations, so yeah. And also, if anyone's interested in a custom light box, then please